Hello, we're Team Sisyphus, and here's our capstone game project, Mobius Clover. This is our 2024 April report. We're going to go over what the game is about and also about our team. And then we're going to go over how the execution plan was, and we're going to go over departmental progress and end it with our future plans. Before we start anything, we will watch our current alpha trailer and just show what we have so far. So, about our game. It's all about you, your choices. You're gonna be the intern trapped in time loops of crashing spaceships, and your mission is to collect the timepieces, enter alternate time loops, save the crew, find the truth, stop the virus, and most importantly, save yourself. The game uses first-person perspective, and it falls under adventure/mystery genre, and it also falls under interactive film because your choices heavily matters, and it's gonna bring later consequences and different endings depending on your choices. It also uses a heavy sci-fi theme in the environment. To briefly go over what the game is about, the crew of 7 people collects unidentified virus onto a planet called Orion O2, and during the takeoff to Earth, the virus breaks and spreads, which might be an accident, but we don't know for sure what has happened in between those events. So that the spaceship crashes and everyone dies but you, who is now trapped in the time loop. That's the ending that you're gonna start the game with. Your objective is to reveal the truths by time looping, and you're gonna have increased time looping power by collecting 4 timepieces over chapters. Our core gameplay mechanics has 5 different aspects. First one is, of course, time loop. It also acts as a time limit to solve the main puzzles, and failure to solve the main puzzles in time will reset your progress and get you back to the start of the time loop, which means you're gonna go back to the start of the chapter to replay everything. There's also a heavy amount of puzzles, which will also act as a knowledge check throughout your play to check if you know enough information, if you have enough clues to figure out the truths that has happened in the further past. We also have AI system, which has implemented onto our scientist Behati, and there's a lot of collections, items that will affect your progress and endings. That'll also be one component that will affect your endings and consequences throughout the chapters. There's another crucial object, terminal, which is there to hold the lore and let you access the new areas on the ship. So here's our execution plan and also about our team and our milestones. We are Team Sisyphus. I am Juhi Lee. I'm the producer, 2D, 3D artist, and character artist of the team.
I'm Ambrose Ringer. I'm the head of level design, documentation specialist, gameplay programmer, and UI programmer.
So I'm Nicole Cheney. I'm the narrative lead, and I also was head of the art division, working on some of the environment art.
I'm Andy Sizemore. I am the head of game design, programmer, and I did the technical designer role.
I'm Guanchan Lee. I'm a 3D artist in this team, and I mainly work for environment art and prop assets arts.
Hi, I'm Mark Mui. I'm a lighting artist, programmer, and also an integrator for build integrity.
We also have Noah Gursky. He's not here, but he's also our crucial level designer and gameplay programmer of our team. So our team use agile methodology, specifically Scrum principle, to handle all our tasks and our project throughout 8 months of development so far. We have established product backlog, which we added all the required tasks to complete the project, and then we moved the according tasks into upcoming sprint backlog that matches the sprint objective, and then we had total 2 weeks of a single sprint every time, which ended with sprint retrospective, which is the overview of how the sprint has went, and I have gone over the individual and the team reports of what was blocked, what could have been better, and what we should focus on next sprint. Our sprint had 2 weeks of cycle. This is just a calendar view of our usual sprint. We had 3 daily scrums each week, which is just maximum 10 minutes total of the individual scrums, sharing our individual progresses since the last daily scrum. And then we had a weekly meeting every Sunday, which is more of a traditional meeting where we discuss the topics that needs to be decided on the team levels, discuss a team level blockers as well, and any of the stuffs that we had to we had to share with the entire team as well. The second weekly meeting of the sprint, which is also the end of the sprint, had the weekly meeting with sprint retrospective, which I distributed individual reports, evaluated their progresses, and also went over our entire team's progresses as the sprint has gone. For the departmental progresses, we have production, level design, programming, art, narrative, audio reports for April. So here's our production and how I managed the production throughout the project. We have used Adulation, Jira, and Confluence for effective Scrum implementation. That is just a little moving GIF just to show how our Jira page and Confluence page is looking like. The Confluence page on the bottom is our art asset document, which our artist Guanchen Lee has wrote at the start of the project. And on the right side, you can see those two tables of our original release plan that we had planned at the start of the project, which is 2023 August. So we had actively implemented Scrum methodology, and we had managed to sprint using all different documents. The very right side of the document is the performance evaluation I have written down for each developer at the end of sprint. I had to evaluate every developer's performance depending on different categories, and then I had added a lot of comments depending on their performances each sprint. On the bottom, you can see the sprint retrospective, which is a presentation slide or presentation document that I had delivered at the end of the sprint to go over what went well, what was blocked, what could have been better, and we also discussed the story points and went over the graphs to make sure that we have the same understanding of the sprint and we have the same understanding what the next sprint has to be like.
All right. So for level design, we started with preferences, moved on to paper designs, got feedback for those paper designs, then moved on to white boxing, got feedback for white boxes, and then moved on to the art pass. The first was preferences. These two images are a few examples of ship layouts that we found online that we referenced when making our own. Moving on to the paper design. For the paper design, each level designer had to create their own paper design up to ship layout. After that, we compared them together, and then presented them to the rest of the team. The team gave us feedback, which we implemented and iterated on. After that, we moved on to the white box. White box. Each level designer was assigned sections of the ship to white box since the ship is fairly large. After everyone was finished, we presented these sections to the team again to get feedback. After we addressed the feedback, we merged all of the sections together into one level to make the final ship, and then we handed it off to the artist for the art pass.
For programming, we made various systems that the player can interact with throughout the ship. The first system is the inventory, which the player can pick up, drop, and use items. We also have a puzzle system to where various puzzles are placed throughout the ship that can be completed using items or other systems found throughout the ship. We have a health system that is used for the player, AIs, and other actors such as the doors, so you can break those down if you wish. We have a time loop to where the player will restart the loop when they either die or run out of time. We have a dialogue system that you can talk to AI with and turn items into them to complete quests. We have a terminal system that allows you to access lore, gain some hints, and also do some puzzles that will affect the ship. We have a scientist AI that is an infected AI that hunts the player, and if the player manages to kill them, they revive and start hunting again. Then we have various hazards that can be found throughout the ship, such as fire, radiation, live wires, and water. Fire can spread to other actors, and live wires can electrify water.
In terms of character art, we had 4 different stages of developing them into, so that we can implement them onto the level. We have total 6 characters appearing in the entire chapter. This is just an example of our chef Umberto. I started off with sketching the front, side, and the back of each character, and then I used Maya to model them, and which also included different stages of blockouts, high poly, low poly, and all different processes. And then I moved on to the Substance 3D to texture the characters, and then we're currently at the stage of importing them and onto the level and double checking the textures are working well in Unreal Engine. I was also in charge of 2D arts, which is currently in the sketch stage of different aspects. These are some logo sketches that I have done for both game and also our team, the studio Sisyphus. And these are 6 characters, and there's a character sketch of front, side, and back. And on the right side, that's the cover art sketch to briefly give an idea of what our game is trying to deliver in terms of visuals and the atmosphere and the mood, just so that our team has a same understanding of the game visuals before we started anything and started modeling anything. These are not all the finals arts yet. We are currently focusing on all the 3D modelings and 3D assets to be finished to be placed onto the level first, and then we're going to move on to the polishing of 2D arts for the actual Steam publishment.
For the 3D arts in this project, I followed the industry standard PBR pipeline. Starts with collecting reference from ArtStation and Pinterest, and after that I use Maya for modeling. I first make the white box for each model, and then do the low poly and high poly for baking, and then I unfold UV for them, and I export and import them into the texturing stage with using Substance Painter and Photoshop. Then I import them into Unreal Engine and start creating material for each models and start editing them, like decorate every room on the spaceship. So in this is like a breakdown for my work process. You can see how this environment goes from the white box to decorated, and then post-process volume to coloring them.
So for lighting, we start out with collecting lighting references. This is, as you can see, all of these images are of spaceships from the internet, and after that we would jot down all of how they approach, how each these scenes approach lighting. For our game, most of our lightings are done as interior lightings. With some few scenes, we can get to see the outside, the sun outside. And so these are all of our notes that we made. Then we will go to different lighting passes. As the level gets more detailed, we will go to like iterate through different lighting passes. And after doing lighting passes, we're able to create all of cinematics inside the level itself. The system we leverage were Unreal's Lumen and Niagara. The systems can handle a lot of real-time ray tracing, and it could make the game really pretty without causing too much performance overhead. As you can see, these are the stills from the games itself. It runs and it can render in runtime. And as you can see before, these are the cinematics that can be achieved from with the system.
Alright, so for our narrative, we put a lot of emphasis on this early in the development process because our game is more narrative focused, and the narrative would also influence some things like what puzzles we would have in the game. So for the narrative process, I started out by creating just these really basic hand-drawn storyboards to outline all the events that would happen in the narrative, including things like the intro, tutorial, all the different levels, as well as the different endings in the game. And after that, I moved on to script writing, which I typed out all the dialogue for all events in the game, all the narrative events, as well as optional dialogue with the characters that you could have throughout the game. And in addition to this, I also created editable in-game notes that the player can find to add to just the lore of the game. I typed that out as well. And finally, much more recently, I've moved into the implementation phase, where I have been transferring the finished scripts I typed out into the actual game engine. So for visual here, I have an example of the full process with the same interaction involving the chef going from the storyboard and then typing out the interaction and later finally copy pasting it and having it be visible within the game engine.
Our team has partially outsourced our audio. On the left side, you can see the document for our entire audio list. We have categorized all of the audio files that we have needed for the game, and we wrote the descriptions to specify which audio files are going to have a specific type of effect or any details that we wanted. And then we gave the pitch presentations to our game outsource audio engineers, and on the very right top side of this slide you can see the list of outsource engineers that has collaborated and agreed to work with us at the end of this phase. And then we have held some outsource meeting to make sure that all the outsource engineers has the same understanding of the work pipeline. There is a little screenshot on the top of the Google form that we have used to make sure about the audio design pipeline, and we have made sure that we all have the same understanding of the submission methods and the iterative submission as well after some feedbacks from our team. We're currently on the stage of implementation where we are currently level blueprint programming into the right locations and right levels into the part of the chapters. So yeah, we are currently working on that. In terms of future plans, our upcoming plans has 4 important dates, or 4 important phases more exactly. We have beta release to be scheduled around early June, which will include both the beta build and also another beta trailer. We currently only have alpha trailer, so it's gonna get enhanced into a little more sophisticated, and it'll show a little more depth into our game. By the end of June, we were going to be finishing QA testing, which we will have minimum 20 testers to test our game. And at the end of early July, we're going to be finishing revisions, which will work like an iterative feedback session from the QA testing. We're going to be fixing a bunch of bugs, and we're going to also have a lot of art revisions to make sure that it is comprehensible for all users. At the end of July, we're going to be releasing this game officially onto the Steam, and that'll be our actual product release for this entire project. So that is the brief of our current progresses so far from 2023 August to 2024 April. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or if you need any information regarding the project, please reach out to me. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you are waiting this game to be released. Thank you.